In the next few minutes, something that's been kept behind closed doors in El Segundo is going to shape how this season feels in your gut. If you miss it now, you'll hear it secondhand tomorrow, and it won't hit the same. Phones have been buzzing, calendars have been cleared, and one decision that changes tone, timeline, and temperature just moved from conversation to action. It's not a roster move. It's bigger than that because it touches everything: film room standards, rotations, development, and the message you send to the locker room when the lights are off. Here's my promise to you. Stay with me and you'll leave knowing what changed, why it happened now, what it means for LeBron and Ad's window, how it affects free agency pitches, and what to expect from training camp to the first 20 games. I won't spoil it yet. I'll walk you through the dominoes. Then we'll flip the big one. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, drop a like so more Lakers fans get this in time. And let's talk basketball the way it should be talked about. Clear, direct, and with that beat in your chest that only this franchise gives you. Let's start with the reality of last year in the feel of this summer. The Lakers didn't hire a name for press conferences. They hired an identity. Practices got tighter. The offense aimed to be cleaner, more two-man actions with purpose, less freelancing, more reads that stack on each other. The staff asked for accountability, and the group responded enough to put itself in the fight, even if the ending stung. That matters because the first season of any new voice isn't about perfection. It's about whether the voice sticks. You could see it in small things. The way role players cut with conviction instead of drifting. The way timeouts became teaching windows instead of weather breaks. The way Anthony Davis demanded the ball at the nail, and the baseline set started to feel like a plan, not a hope. When games got tight, the composed teams leaned on continuity. The Lakers were building it in real time. All summer, the question inside the building wasn't just who to add at the margins. It was whether to double down on the voice calling the shots. If you want players to buy into a system that requires attention to detail, you don't make them wonder if the teacher will be there next semester. You make the teacher the standard dot that brings us to timing. Why talk structure now? Because year 2 is where systems either lock in or leak. Camps determine spacing habits, defensive language, and who trusts who on the back line. You don't want a cloud hanging over that. You want the flight plan confirmed before the plane leaves the runway dot. So here's the turn you came for. Starting now, the Lakers are moving forward with a renewed commitment at the top. A new deal for head coach JJ. Redick is emotion and extension of trust and timeline shaped to back the philosophy that took root last season. Terms are not public. Details aren't the point tonight. The message is stability, support, a clear "you're our guy" sent through the walls of the practice facility and straight into the locker room. Before we go further, let's separate the noise from the substance. What's solid is the push to lock in the voice leading the program and remove any doubt about where the team is headed. What's still in the shadows are the exact numbers, years, and mechanisms. That's normal. Coaching contracts don't hit the cap. They hit the culture. And culture is where the Lakers chose to spend. Why now? And why him? Because the most valuable currency in the NBA isn't just talent, it's alignment. If your star big knows who is diagramming crunch time sets in December and April, he buys in earlier. If your veteran shooters know which reads are non-negotiable, they drill them with sharper edges. If your young guards know what earns minutes, development accelerates. A new deal for JJ says the map isn't changing every 6 months. There's also the recruitment effect. Free agents and buyout targets ask 2 questions. What's my role and who's coaching me? A coach with runway can sell role without hedging. Here's your film, here's your fit. Here's how we'll use you in our TO package. And here's how we build your value. That lands differently when the messenger is signed, sealed, and backed. On the floor, this signals more of the structure that started to show late last season. Expect stronger first-quarter scripts instead of feeling your way into games. Expect more elbow touches for a D that forced the help to declare early. Expect guard screens for LeBron to trigger switches you can punish without burning energy. Expect the second unit to feel like a unit, not a rest stop. That's the thesis behind continuity. Good process survives cold shooting nights. Let's talk defense. Continuity on the sideline means continuity in language. Low man responsibilities get crisper. Nail help becomes timing, not guesswork. Rotations stop being 5 different accents trying to say the same sentence. With a D anchoring, that matters. Give him a backline that speaks in one voice, and you can squeeze teams into late clock jumpers without gambling. Year 2 for a first-time head coach is also year 2 for his staff. Assistants know exactly when to jump in, which players respond to what tone, and how to split scouting so every opponent file is clean. That's invisible to fans until you see a team ready for the opponent's third option, not just their first 2 plays. Now the fair question, the risk. Tying yourself more tightly to a first-time coach means you're committing to growth, not just results. You're betting that the lessons of last year turn into wins this year. You're saying the voice gets stronger, the reads get faster, and the group gets more comfortable living in a scheme that demands attention to details. That's a real bet. But the opposite bet, staying vague, hedging, and letting whispers grow, usually costs you more. What changes practically with a new deal? Expectations. The film room gets louder. The practice plan gets sharper. We're installing this, and we're living with it until it sticks. That's how you turn habits into identity. Offensively, watch for tighter spacing rules around IDs, touches, and more purposeful weak side screens to punish the tag. Defensively, watch for fewer soft switches and more deliberate scram actions to keep mismatches brief. There's also a human side. Players can smell stability. Veterans invest more when they know the ground under them isn't shifting. Young guys accept hard coaching when they sense the structure isn't a phase. And the leaders, LeBron and AD, don't have to spend energy translating mixed messages. They can lead straight, zoom out, and this is a statement about windows. The Lakers aren't just chasing a hot month. They're building a 2 to 3 year arc that respects the reality of their stars while seeding the floor for the next wave. A coach secured on paper allows the front office to plan drafts, player development, and cap positioning without guessing which system they're planning for. That is not a small thing. Think about how the best organizations operate. They pick a lane, they back it, and they let the work breathe. They tweak, not panic. A new deal for JJ is that choice. There will be nights it looks brilliant and nights it looks stubborn. That's sports. The question is whether your curve is pointing up. Continuity gives you the best chance for that curve. Let's bring this to the matchups you care about. Against switching defenses, the Lakers struggled at times to create easy paint touches. Expect more guard-guard actions to force the soft spot and more early seals for AD before the defense gets set. Expect after timeout plays that target the weakest defender, not the loudest name. Expect a clearer pecking order late, who initiates, who screens, who spaces, and who crashes. The beauty of a stable playbook is that players read each other faster. The ball moves cleaner because the decision tree is shorter. How does this touch the rotation? In year 2, coaches trust quicker. If a bench wing defends without fouling and hits the simple pass, his minutes stabilize. If a guard runs the second unit with pace and protects the ball, he closes certain lineups. That predictability is oxygen for role players. It turns I hope into I know, which turns hesitation into rhythm. Free throws and defensive rebounding were pressure points. Coaching stability won't fix them alone, but it'll help. Rebounding is scheme plus commitment. If the closeouts are organized and the weak side boxouts are drilled daily, your big doesn't have to fight 2 bodies alone. If your free throw rate stays high because actions keep putting pressure at the rim, your offense doesn't die on jumpers. Those are coaching things as much as player things. Let's hit leadership. A coach's contract doesn't make shots, but it does make standards. Being on time, being to your spots, Getting hit in practice and getting up those become non-negotiables when the person setting them isn't viewed as a temporary substitute. That attitude travels. It shows up in January road trips and April seeding games. This also matters for LeBron. Say it plainly, he needs structure he respects and voices that challenge him without wasting his time. When he feels the plan is serious, he feeds it. When a D feels the back line is disciplined and the offense will find him in the right places, he anchors it. Securing the coach is a way of saying to both, you're not carrying uncertainty along with the scoring and the stops. The training camp piece is huge. With the voice secured, you can spend camp on fine-tuning instead of philosophy debates. Spacing rules get set early. The call sheet is trimmed to things the roster can execute under pressure. Defensive coverage toggles, drop, switch, show, peel get installed with clarity, so players know the if-then chains. You win close games in spring by doing hard reps in October. What about the outside noise? A new deal lowers the volume. Talk shows can argue about rotations, but they can't drum up hot seat segments every Monday. That steadies the group. It also steadies the building. Scouts, performance staff, and video room people work better when the program is calm. Calm isn't passive. Calm is efficient. Now let's acknowledge the other side. If results don't climb, a new deal won't defend the scoreboard. The bar in Los Angeles is never low. A secure coach still has to show growth, cleaner end-of-game execution, better third quarters, fewer giveaways when the opponent goes on an 8-0 run. That's the job. The extension doesn't change the job. It clarifies the frame for doing it. Zoom back to the basketball you'll actually see. Expect a few pep packages to define this group. A LeBron AD two-man game with a corner flare to punish the tag. A Spain pick-and-roll look for the second unit to create a slipping big. A slot cut series that turns a simple handoff into two potential layups. Those are identity plays. When players trust the call, they cut harder and screen smarter. That's the margin between good and special. Player development accelerates inside stability, too. Shooting coaches can build year-over-year programs without starting from scratch. Strength staffs can tailor in-season loads because the rotation is predictable. That means healthier legs in March and a team that knows exactly who it is. When the bracket tightens, there's also the simple matter of joy. Teams with clear direction play freer. You saw flashes of that when runs came in waves last season. The bench up, the building loud, the passes automatic. Secure the voice, and you give those runs a context. Guys know who they are and what they're trying to do. That's when basketball gets fun to watch and painful to play against. On the business side, this tells sponsors and partners the franchise isn't flinching. It tells the league the Lakers are building something, not chasing noise. It tells opponents you won't be able to crack this group by poking at uncertainties. You'll have to beat them straight up. Will it work? That's the question that decides spring. The answer will come possession by possession. But this new deal makes the answer about execution, not distractions. And that is the best chance you can give yourself in this league. If you're looking for signs early, watch the first 10 games. Do the Lakers own the shot profile? Are corner threes appearing on cue? Is the defense forcing late clock floaters instead of point-of-attack blow-bys? That's coaching continuity showing up on a box score. Watch end-of-quarter possessions. If you see smart 2-4-1s, you're seeing attention to detail. Watch the out-of-timeout execution. If shooters come off clean and the first option flows into a second, you're seeing clarity. Watch the body language when a 12-point lead becomes 3. If the huddle looks like a plan, not a panic, you're seeing buy-in. Guard development will be the quiet hinge. If the young handlers tighten their reads against switches and keep the ball out of traffic, lineup stabilize. If a bench wing defends without fouling and hits the extra pass, rotations tighten. That's not theory. That's how good teams win Tuesday nights that look boring on the schedule and count big in April. This is also about a D's voice. A secure coach will lean into him as the day-to-day anchor sets call for him. Coverage built around him, teammates steer by him. If that partnership grows louder, the Lakers are more than dangerous. They're organized, Dot, and LeBron? At this stage, he values professionals, not promises. He wants preparation he can touch. A new deal for JJ tells him the organization is investing in a process he can respect, not a carousel he has to manage. That makes his minutes smarter, not just heavier. There will be bumps. There always are. A West Coast back-to-back where the legs die. A cold week from deep that makes the floor feel small. A tough whistle that swings momentum. Stability doesn't remove adversity. It gives you a shape to push through it. Remember, too, that coaching contracts exist in a different lane than player deals. They don't limit cap flexibility. They do, however, define philosophy. By planting a flag with JJ, the Lakers chose a lane. That's the only way to build something fans can trust. You might disagree with plays or lineups on a given night, but you're no longer guessing what the team is trying to be, Dot, so here we are. The move is made in spirit and moving to paper. The Lakers are giving JJ Redick runway. That's not a headline for tomorrow morning. That's a direction for the next seasons. It's a bet on alignment, on clarity, and on the idea that this group's ceiling rises when the voice at the top is secure and sharpened. I want to hear you. Do you back this now, or would you have waited? What will convince you in the first 20 games that this was the right call defensive rating? Late game poise? The second unit's identity? If you were sitting across the table, what's the one non-negotiable standard you'd ask JJ to set from day one? Drop your take below. I'm reading every comment, and this fanbase knows my personal opinion. Said simply, if you believe in the direction, you secure the voice. A new deal for JJ Redick lines up with the basketball the Lakers need to play, but until terms are known and results stack, treat it as a developing story, and yes, a piece of informed speculation.